you had no Kobe.
Well, the only way the Lakers are going to be good is if they do their thing of buying other people's good players. Kind of like how they bought all their sports teams. City of Los Angeles. That's why they call the Lakers.
Well,
in the desert.
The Lakers.
We buy our big men. We draft our backcourts usually. We bought Shaq. We bought Kareem. We bought Dwight. We bought Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
And we drafted Kobe.
You traded Marc Gasol for Pau
And
Gasol.
you did not draft Kobe.
Well,
The Charlotte Hornets.
We got his rights because Vlade is going to be always a homie in L.A.
Mm-hmm. Vlade's a homie everywhere, except
hey, why do you think he hit it to
parts
Robert
of his home country? But
Jesus. The Lakers.
Too soon.
The Lakers starting lineup will look right at the beginning of next year. It will be Nash. It will be Kobe. It will be Pau Gasol. Jordan Hill will start for the Lakers next year. They will finally figure out, Jordan Hill's a really good player. He can be a role player.
And then small forward is going to be
Jabari Parker. If he leaves Duke, the Lakers are going to draft Jabari. They don't need Wiggins. They should get Jabari.
I agree.
Jabari's already said if he comes out, that's the team he wants to play for. He said it would be a dream to play for the Lakers.
Well, yeah, it's out of the other 15 dumpster teams that have a shot at him.
Like if he,
I mean, they're the only team that can win him that's ever won one championship.
If Jabari goes to Milwaukee,
you know all those kids in the draft are like this. Oh my God! Please, Lakers get the number one pick and take me.
Right?
You know who else is in the lottery that has a chance of getting a top 5 pick? It's Boston.
Yeah,
there's a legacy you want to be a part
of. Those are the only two really.
That's not the two of them have won half the championships ever.
Yep. Or if the NBA wants to rig it, the Knicks could get it.
All right. You are 19 years old, David Kim. I know it's been about 70 years,
like 40 years since that happened.
Right. Remember, we're talking about losing teams dying and stuff.
Okay, right.
So I'm 19 years old.
You're a top 5 pick, and your options are Sacramento, Utah, Milwaukee, Los Angeles,
or Philadelphia.
Where do you want to go? You want to go to the Lakers.
If you're a Mormon like Jabari Parker, Utah, not such a bad thing.
That's pretty cool. That'd be awesome if that was why.
So not your average.
Whatever, I'm gonna be the best Mormon athlete since Steve Young. Bring it on.
Yeah, but you know what? I think if I was Jabari Parker, I'd still pick LA because he didn't pick Utah or BYU to go to school. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He trusted Coach K.
And yeah. Again.
Not a bad
so you're a high school kid, and all the coaches come and talk to you, and one of them is Coach K. What do? It's the same thing. You go to Duke.
I think the Lakers are going to be okay next year.
Me too.
They could push for a 7 or an 8 seed.
Yeah.
They're not going higher than that.
I think so as well.
They're definitely not going higher than that. But I could also very easily see another dumpster season like this. Not as bad as what this is.
33 wins.
I could see somewhere around 35. Somewhere around there.
I can only see them making the 7th or 8th seed because I could almost envision Kobe playing the "let me prove you wrong."
That's
role,
the only way they make playoffs is Kobe is healthy, and we were saying that a few months ago. The Lakers are only gonna make playoffs. The Lakers will be okay. They're the Lakers. They're always gonna find a way out. Look, next year will probably be bad again, but the following year you'll have Russell Westbrook and Kevin Love. Things will be okay in La La Land. I'm not worried about them. The last team I want to mention before we do playoffs is New Orleans. If we're listing,
I think they're going to make huge strides.
If we're listing the 10 best players in the NBA, Anthony Davis is at least 11. He's really pushing to be a top 10 NBA player. I watched so many Pelicans
to about
games.
40-41 wins next year.
I think the Pelicans are going to be really good. Let's face it, Drew Holiday didn't play this year. Eric Gordon barely touched the floor. And they were running with Tyreek Evans as their second best option. Now he did put up a 44-point game the other day, but that's
all he does is shoot.
That's not the team.
He knows that.
That's not the team they constituted.
Look at his face. Look at his face. He's so angry, and Tyreek's not even a king right now. He's so angry.
So much pain.
They're gonna run with Drew Holiday, Eric Gordon, Tyreek Evans, and Anthony Davis, and a healthy Ryan Anderson next year.
And imagine Austin Rivers coming off the bench a little bit instead of being thrust.
Do you remember?
I love Austin Rivers, but
do you remember the kid in everyone's junior high? You and I went to smaller junior highs, so but you'll know who I'm talking about.
I went to a pretty big junior high. Okay.
The kid who hit puberty in 6th grade.
He was the best player on the basketball team.
Hang on. We're not talking about that kid. We're talking about the kid who has an awkward beard at 13 instead of 17.
Yeah.
He's a big, massive guy all the potential in the world,
I knew that.
and is so awkward in his own skin that he's never a good athlete.
Yes.
That's how I feel like Tyreek Evans looks in the NBA. Is he looks like the guy who doesn't fit. He doesn't belong on the court.
He looked like that in high school too.
And the thing is he is so like, how do they continue to have these bad pictures of themselves?
He was so good at Michigan.
Yeah, no.
Or Memphis, sorry.
No. Tyreek Evans is a phenomenal basketball
player. What am I thinking
player.
about Michigan?
He doesn't, it's like the guy who's capable, it's like the 6'5" kid in 8th grade who trips on his own feet. That's what I feel like he is out there. I know that's harsh. He's a phenomenal athlete. He can do great things, but he will never help a team. Never in his career. I don't think he'll ever be the guy where like, oh, God, he made us better. He's why we're winning. He'll never be that.
And you know what?
Sucks.
You know what pisses me off about NorCal sports fans?
Huh.
When he was a rookie, people were trying to tell me that he was going to be like an MVP someday.
He went 25-5 on his. It was like he put up Oscar Robertson numbers in his rookie year.
I understand.
On the Kings.
I understand, but
and you saw that.
But now where is he?
Yeah.
He's just making a lot of money. I've never been the biggest
Tyreek. He was a
Tyreek guy.
small forward. I thought he was like.
Take your pick. Pick your poison. Put him at any.
He was a point guard his rookie year.
That's what. No, I know. That's what I was like. I just realized right now he's listed as a small forward.
That goes to his point. He just doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit.
He doesn't have.
He was a 6'8" point guard.
He doesn't fit. It's
not many of those work. Not many are named Magic Johnson.
Penny Hardaway.
Penny, baby.
I miss you, Penny.
Oh, you know what? If Penny's once again another one of those, if his knees would have held up, he would have.
Derrick
All
Rose.
right.
Derrick Rose. Penny Hardaway.
NBA Live back in the SNES.
That broke my heart.
It's so true though.
Wait, what happened?
Derrick Rose is the next Penny Hardaway.
Oh.
Dude, you know it's true. That hurts.
Wow.
I own Derrick Rose shoes. Those are my basketball shoes.
That just made me really depressed right there.
No.
Oh, there's the bell.
Hey, somebody hit it.
Playoffs.
Let's do it.
We're doing playoffs.
Let's do the playoffs. Let's talk this.
So we got Spurs.
Oh wait. Let's see what the score is here.
Yeah, let's check the Grizzlies Mavs.
Grizzlies won in overtime.
So it's Spurs Mavericks first round.
That's cool.
That's a Texas two-step right there.
That's a good matchup.
You know,
Dallas doesn't have a chance.
They don't, but I would rather play a team without Dirk Nowitzki in the playoffs than a team with Dirk Nowitzki. Because I heard this on I think it was part of the interruption today.
Right.
But he said, Dallas, they're not going to beat the Spurs, but I'd be very, very worried because I think it was Kornheiser said he remembers that one playoffs where Dirk Nowitzki just decided that we're going to win the playoffs, and he just ransacked through the playoffs.
He was the best player on the planet.
Yeah,
at that time.
for 16 games, whatever it was.
He decided he was the best player.
Yeah,
and just did it.
And he said that's a scarier option than facing even a young. Front like a good front line like Zebo and Marc Gasol, because they not anyone on that team can just automatically score 41 on a drop of a hat whenever they want to.
No one on that team could score 21.
But you know what I mean.
Let's not get about it. Memphis does not score.
You know what's going to happen is just that San Antonio Dallas, because San Antonio Memphis would have just been the most boring 5-game series.
I wouldn't have watched.
Yeah, I don't think I would have watched it.
I honestly wouldn't have watched.
Once again, I feel like. I feel more sorry for, I want to say, the Thunder. I feel like the Thunder match up better against the Mavericks in an easier first-round matchup than against that Memphis Grizzly team.
I think that the Dallas Mavericks could at least make the Spurs tired.
Yeah.
They could definitely make,
Monte's going to run circles around the defense there. Monte's...
Yeah. Well,
Monte's a real good guy coming off picks.
Oh, I know, but San Antonio's defense is so damn good.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying Monte's going to go for 35 a night. I'm just going to...
He's going to cause problems.
He's going to tire them out.
Okay.
He's going to make it interesting.
Okay.
Go back to that screen I was looking at.
No, sorry, I'm supposed to say the depth chart real quick here.
I don't think it's going to come down to bench. Samuel Dalembert is starting for the Dallas Mavericks. They're not going to win a series. Speaking of former Kings that are overpaid.
And Brandon Wright is his backup.
Samuel Dalembert was a part of the Chris Webber dump off $25 million deal. That was just, dear Philadelphia, we'll take your garbage. We love you. He was making like $12 million a year for a while there from Philadelphia. He's not good. He's not a good basketball player.
Best Haitian on the board, though.
Oh, yeah.
Haiti.
Yeah, he's the only Haitian on the board. So in this in Cool Runnings fashion, like, congrats, you made it. But,
Cool Runnings.
But you didn't. You aren't gonna make it any further.
Oh yeah.
All right, Dallas isn't gonna win. No. All right.
Do you think they win a game?
I think Dirk steals a game.
No. I think Dirk goes 23-ish.
No. I'm not saying he's gonna go off the whole series.
I think Dirk retired 3 years ago. I think he still plays good basketball, but I don't think.
I think he's gonna play another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Just
because he could shoot.
I know. I'm not saying he's gonna win any more than one game. I just think they steal one in Dallas or something.
All right.
Spurs won that series.
In 5.
Right. So Memphis, Oklahoma City.
Thunder. I think Thunder win, but I think that goes a little bit longer. I think that goes like 5. I think that goes 6.
That was
maybe
the matchup
7
last year. And the Grizzlies beat them.
Yeah.
Without
6,
Westbrook.
7.
Westbrook has to have a huge series because Memphis can give OKC fits.
Yeah.
Westbrook is there are certain players that I think that you need to see in real life. You know what?
Have you seen him in real life?
Yes.
I'm dying to. I want to see him play so bad.
It really gives you perspective on how quick his first step is, because it's lightning quick, and the Memphis Grizzlies don't have an answer for that.
Okay, he's nowhere near the same, but another guy like that, Shannon Brown.
That first step, yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, but his jumping ability.
Yeah, it's
seeing
insane.
that in person, it was like there are some guys you have to see in person to understand how good.
I put Rondo in that category.
Rondo, without a doubt, and Goran Dragic. Seeing him,
I want to see that. That I want to see.
I've seen him twice now. You have to watch him play in person to understand how he gets by people and how he gets his layups. Because watching it on TV, he's like, okay, this is like a slow white guy from Europe. Like, how is he getting these layups?
Yeah.
He's crafty. Like, he's another one of those guys. But Westbrook, without a doubt, I'm dying to see Westbrook play.
So we all agree so far. San Antonio.
I think OKC wins in 6.
Okay.
6. I think
so
the Grizz.
I'm thinking 6 or 7.
And
basically.
the guy for the Grizz, who we joked they don't have a guy who go for 21. You know who their lethal outside shooter scorer is? It's Mike Miller.
Oh my
Mike
gosh,
Miller is their go-to guy on the outside. Like, he can put up points.
You know what?
I think they could give him fits.
I'm going to jump back for a second, and I hope it doesn't cause too much distraction because it's not worth this much discussion.
No, what?
I think that Isaiah Thomas could become Mike Conley could.
Oh.
Mike Conley defensively is really good, though.
Yeah, I know. But I think that he could be as valuable of an asset to Mike Conley where he's a question mark.
Okay.
But he gets the job done.
Mike Conley made the jump last year, by the way.
He did make the jump.
Like, Mike Conley was like, oh, okay, he's scary now. Like, he can score.
That's the kid I was afraid of in college.
Yeah. Hey, he put a Greg Oden at Ohio State. Like, it's that kid.
That guy.
So we all take OKC.
Yes.
All right. Next one.
This is where it becomes a conversation.
Clippers and the Dubs.
You're taking Warriors.
I am.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Clippers.
In 6.
I'm not picking either team. I'm just picking Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Like, we forget. Like, all this talk.
I don't. See, here's the thing. Let me give you my reasoning of why I'm picking the Dubs.
All right.
And I said this yesterday on Aggie Talk as well.
Reiterate.
Let's go to the Clippers depth chart here, so I can actually talk about it while not making mistakes here. Okay. I know Andrew Bogut.
Small forwards.
I know Andrew Bogut having a broken rib is it's a hindrance on how far the Warriors want to go because he is a pretty good defensive force in the middle.
That's the understatement of our podcast so
far. But if they were facing any other team besides a team with a front line of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, who, they're athletic, they're good, they can dunk.
And Ryan Hollins.
And Ryan Hollins, sure. But they're not... This round isn't the round that the Warriors are going to be hurting because of the loss of Bogut.
I agree.
And if they go small, they can outrun the Clippers. And as long as you don't let the other two... Because Chris Paul's going to do what Chris Paul does. But if you don't let anybody else, go out of their mind beat you, which you know what, none of those guys really can fall into that role, then they can beat the Clippers in 6. Because if you're gonna tell me that Matt Barnes, Danny Granger, Hito Turkoglu, and Jared Dudley are gonna come anywhere near of
Andre Iguodala,
slowing him down,
Klay Thompson,
no, because it's gonna basically come down to can the Clippers' big men be trusted to exploit the undersizedness of the front line of the Warriors better than, say, Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry outplaying the backcourt as a tandem?
Uh-huh.
And I can't, I mean, maybe you can convince me when you guys say something, but I'm not convinced that Blake Griffin, even though he's made strides and he's developed a better all-around game this year, you can't convince me that when the lights turn on and the playoffs start, he doesn't fall back into more of his habits and the way that he normally does things, which is no real outside jump shot, no real post presence. He just grabs rebounds and dunks. Can't really defend that well.
I don't want to demean your opinion, but how many Clippers games did you watch this year?
Not very many.
It's not hyperbole. Blake Griffin made the jump this year. He does post moves, and he has a legit mid-range jump shot. He doesn't shoot threes. Threes are horrible.
Hold on. But here's
mid-range
the thing.
jumpers.
There's a difference between having an 82-game season, making that jump, and being
being
defensible like that. And there's another thing of having a 7-game series potentially against one team, and the coaching staff is basically revamping their defense as the series goes on, depending on what you're doing and what you're not doing. And like I said, if he shows it to me, I'll be a believer.
Do you know who has to guard Blake Griffin? One of the worst defensive power forwards in basketball, David Lee.
Yeah. That's fine as long as David Lee can score with Griffin, and I think he can, because Griffin can't defend well enough to prevent David Lee from.
I see where you're coming from.
Because as you know what, as Sammy said, and I agree with him on Tuesday. David Lee's an undersized, frontline guy, but he does really well against other undersized frontline guys because that's what his game caters to.
I don't think Chris Paul's going to lose this series. I'm sorry, and I feel bad because your argument was so much better put than mine.
It makes sense.
Yours is thought out, and I just can't imagine anybody disobeying Chris Paul. Chris Paul does not want to see the Sports Center squares that compare him to Steph Curry in a negative light. Because that will exist if they lose. Like, they're going to have guys in big suits go, who would you rather have, Chris Paul or Steph Curry? Oh, well, I think Steph Curry's the best shooter in the game. That will happen. Chris Paul will not let that discussion come.
Let's not get twisted, though. Whether he wins or loses, that discussion is going to happen. Because they don't necessarily play the same style of game.
No, that's why it's a stupid conversation.
Okay. And
it will happen if Chris Paul loses. But if Chris Paul wins, he'll just remind everyone what he said everyone forgot. And that is that Chris Paul is the best leader in the NBA.
We talked about LeBron comparing to Michael Jordan competitively. Yeah. Kobe's the only guy you can compare to Michael Jordan just being ultra competitive. You know who's second on that list? Is Chris Paul.
I understand that, but
he is.
You try and walk on Chris Paul's court.
Let me read this roster again. Matt Barnes, Danny Granger, Hedo Turkoglu, Jared Dudley are your small forwards. Willie Green, Jamal Crawford, Reggie Bullock, and J.J. Redick. I love him to death, J.J. Redick. Those are your shooting guards.
I still like J.J. Redick.
You're going to need, the Clippers are going to need, you know what they're going to need from Chris Paul? In every game, not only are they going to need the 35-plus points and the 6-plus rebounds, but he's going to have to get like 8 to 9 assists, which means there's going to be some people that's going to need to find again their mid-range game, their shooting touch.
All right.
I think they're built for the regular season, is what I'm saying.
Okay, I can see that. But the Clippers, they have 2 centers, they have 2 power forwards, and they have 2 point guards. Why? Because those three positions, they're good. So what do? They put all their depth in their weak spots. So they're going to be rotating those guys pretty heavy. Hedo Turkoglu at some playoff games is going to get legit minutes. And that guy does not belong in the NBA anymore. But the point is that he'll be fresh, he'll be rested. They have the depth in their weak spots. Now they're going to need crazy minutes. Now I don't think that the Clippers are gonna come close to the finals. I don't. But I think that the Warriors are still behind them.
Well, I just think it's just a bad matchup for the Clippers, in my opinion.
All right.
I just think, and I think they needed Oklahoma City to lose that game today, and for them to beat the Portland Trailblazers and get that second seed and have a better matchup in an older and slower Dallas team or an overmatched Memphis team. I don't know.
the Clippers-Warriors series.
It's going to probably be the best one.
It's going to be fun.
In the first round.
We can go as in-depth as you'd like. It's Chris Paul versus Steph Curry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whoever wins that matchup.
And I think and you know what? And I think like the 3 games or the 2 games I saw on TV where they both play each other, I think they're going to play to a draw like they have. And it's going to always those 3 games or 2 games, whatever they were, that I saw on TV, it came down to the other players around them making their shots and free throws, playing defense, and grabbing rebounds.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to tell me that it's going to come down to that, I feel like I trust Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Jermaine O'Neal in short stretches over the group herd mentality of the shooting guard, small forward, and DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin.
All right, I respect that. I understand it. We're not going to agree.
I think Chris Paul's the best point guard in the NBA.
I agree.
And I think there's a bit of a gap.
And I agree.
The second.
But that doesn't mean that.
Steph Curry was his top scoring point guard.
I still don't consider him a point guard.
Yeah,
I know it's a different.
that's what I'm saying.
I don't consider him a point guard.
I'm just jumping back to it.
I think this comes down to people have somehow forgotten just how good Chris Paul is, and I think this is a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
And believe me, Chris Paul sees this as a perfect opportunity.
I just think people are
to
overvaluing.
Shut everyone up.
I think people are just overvaluing his cast. No. They built that cast to win the Pacific and make the playoffs as a 3 or a 2 seed.
Okay.
That's how that team was built for the regular season.
And I have as much faith in JJ Redick as just about anyone. So the depth is not that much of an issue. You know who's the second most disappointing player for me this year? It's Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Harrison Barnes was supposed to be, there's going to be some all-star buzz about Harrison Barnes. He's going to make a jump. He did the exact opposite. He went negative this year. He does not look like the same guy that played in the playoffs last year.
Nope.
If Harrison Barnes can look like what he did in the Spurs series last year, then yeah, I give the Warriors a realistic shot of winning the series.
But what people tend to forget about Harrison Barnes last year was, in the regular season, people weren't wowing about him.
No, he made the jump in the playoffs.
He made the jump in the playoffs.
When everyone was watching.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, what says he can't? I mean, I doubt that he can, but what says he can't do it again in the playoffs?
I'm not saying he can. I'm saying if he can, then they have a realistic shot. I trust Chris Paul above anyone else.
That's just what it is. And I think that I don't think the Warriors. I actually was looking at there was a cap system. It was
looking at their cap space and stuff last year. I was disappointed because when the Kings have been out of the news for 8 years, you learn to appreciate other teams a bit more. And I think
your Kings talk is depressing. It's
really
and
sad. you know I love them more than anyone.
I know you do. It's so sad.
The thing is that the Golden State Warriors, I think their window closed last year. I really think that, and it pains me because I like them, but I think when
Steph Curry.
An underdog team that's working with a small budget peaks too soon. You got to lose in the playoffs for a while as a smaller team. That's like these newcomers that are all kind of like trading places. Like honestly, like teams like that have been good establishments, Oklahoma City over the past few years, or when they transition from being the Sonics. Think about what the Thunder have had to go to with Kevin Durant, with one of the best players. They've had to have heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak in order to get to this point.
But I've been living in Davis long enough to know that they have gone through that with Baron Davis, with the Run TMC back in the day.
That's not.
No. But see,
not on the same level.
No, but you're not Warriors fans.
No.
No.
But see, for Warriors fans, it is the same level.
No.
Because it feels like they're failing.
I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about the.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
And it has to happen one after the other. You have to get your heart broken over and over and over again to be able to get to the top. Unless you're the San Antonio Spurs, who just waltzed into it 15 years ago.
Well, they've had their hearts broken a couple of times by Derek Fisher and people like that. So I mean, they have.
And then they went on to continue winning. Is Derek Fisher still in the NBA? Because
Derek Fisher's gonna have a playoff moment this year.
He's on the Thunder.
He's the
Thunder.
He's still there.
Okay.
He's gonna have a playoff moment this year.
I forgot that he was. I forgot he was
He's
actually still playing until there was an NBA on the ESPN thing, and the Thunder won. Or on the end of the first half, there was a set play, and from the distance, I saw someone line up and hit the 3 at the buzzer, and I was like, kind of like Derek Fisher, and I walked to the TV. I'm like,
39 years old.
Oh my God, he is. But you're right. He's gonna have a moment.
He's gonna have a moment. Okay, right. So you're taking Warriors.
I'm taking the Warriors in 6.
Clips. Taking Clips in how many?
5.
I say Clips in 7.
All right.
Because I don't think the Clips are that good. I don't think they're gonna beat down on the Warriors.
No.
But I think Chris Paul's just gonna end up saying, "Look, give me the ball in the fourth quarter. I'm gonna run pick and roll, and you are not going to stop me."
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's going to be.
That's fine. I just think that Steph Curry is hungry and he can see what you're saying about the window closing, and I think he thinks he has one more shot at it. And like Dirk, he can just get hot and fill it up.
Oh yeah,
and I don't think
he's a phenomenal thing to watch.
I've loved Steph Curry ever since Davidson days. I knew about him before the media hype. I love Steph Curry.
Yeah, I knew about him through the tournament. I was like, oh my God, you're so good.
Yeah, it's because and somehow people passed on him in the draft. But I somewhat agree with Greg that the window's closing. I think they could still do it next year, but this year, Bogut's not going to play. That is a huge loss. It's a huge loss.
They have a better record this season without Bogut.
I don't look at records in that sense that,
I know.
okay, they're a better team without Bogut.
It's a good one.
I can see Sean's face like, you don't believe that either. Stop saying that.
Like, their defense works with Bogut. It doesn't work without him.
I know.
And I think Blake Griffin's going to have a field day.
And I just think that this first round matchup is going to be just, it fits the Warriors to the point where it's not going to hurt them.
It does.
You guys sold me a bit. I'm going to go Clippers in 6.
Clippers in 6. I got Clippers in 7. You got Warriors in 6?
In 6.
6, okay.
But then again, I've been on the Warrior bandwagon for like 6-7 months
I respect that. That's all right. It's a fun bandwagon.
If Clippers-Warriors is the first most exciting playoff series, I think Rockets-Blazers is second. I look forward to watching every one of those games.
I do.
All right.
Every one of them.
I'm excited. But I think I'll go first. Portland's going to get bounced. And I'm using that word. And I think next year...
That means less than 6 games.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. Only I think next year Portland is going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. But I think right now, I think they're going to get their asses handed to them. And this is something, when I texted you guys a long time ago, I was like, when are you guys going to be talking basketball? And it was because I tripped across this thought, and I got so upset about it. And what I got so upset about is that Blake Griffin is called a power forward.
He's a small forward.
He's a small forward.
I agree.
All right.
That's why
All right. Okay.
I'm just saying.
And there's a man in Portland who's going to remind us what a power forward is. LaMarcus Aldridge. Because do you remember when power forwards roamed the NBA like dinosaurs? Do you remember when the Western Conference, when Kevin Garnett played
Dirk and Duncan.
When
Weber.
Yeah. And it was your 5 was Shaq, your 4 was Duncan, and your 3 was Kevin Garnett in the Western Conference. And they were like the most dominant force I'd ever seen. And it's because power forwards, once upon a time, were how you got your points.
Yeah.
Now LeBron made us forget. LeBron made us go.
LeBron doesn't have a position.
Right.
There's no such thing as a position for LeBron James.
Exactly.
But I know what you're saying.
Because LeBron James made us think that small forwards are your answer. But small forwards are crap. I'm sorry, LeBron James doesn't count because he's a 250-pound small forward.
Yeah. I don't consider Durant a small forward either.
And
no,
he's
6'10".
I consider Kobe a shooting guard.
I'm with you there, too.
So,
everything... All right, okay. So, the 2 guards became 3 guards, the 3 guards became 4 guards, and the 4 guards became centers.
Yeah.
This happened. Tim Duncan used to be a power forward.
Yeah.
He's now a center.
Yeah.
Okay? Tim Duncan was a power forward
when
for
David Robinson was still playing.
Right, when centers exist.
And LaMarcus Aldridge is a bona fide power forward.
Yes.
Bona fide power forward. And if the Clippers, I hope to God next year, the Clippers face Portland in the playoffs. Because I want to
punch right in the face.
I want to see a power forward take over again. And I'm excited about Portland, not this year. I don't think they're going to get
you're
past
picking Houston. How many games?
Houston. I'm picking Houston. I'll go Houston in 6, but that's me being conservative.
Wow. I would have expected you to go Houston in 5.
Yeah. 6 is my conservative number.
Okay. What do you got?
You know what?
I'll go 5. I use the word balanced.
I feel like to me this matchup was my hardest to pick.
Okay.
And I think it's because they're both so good at different things, and what they're good at is what the other team kind of almost lacks defensively in that area. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's a wash. I don't know, if Portland won in 7 or less, I wouldn't be surprising. If Houston swept, I wouldn't be surprised either. But I think because of the pressure that's on Houston, I think they end up winning. But I think they win in 7, and they basically use the home court advantage to,
to get the bump.
Get the bump in the 7th game.
Okay.
Blazers in 5.
Blazers in 5. So you're already there.
Blazers in 5.
So you guys are like over here on the spectrum. You're kind of right in the middle of Houston in 7.
These are
not your father's Blazers.
2 of the worst defensive players in the NBA, in James Harden and Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
That were I think Lillard's a legit all-star at some point. I think next year he'll be a legit all-star.
I do too.
James Harden plays this much defense. 0.
Yep.
0 defense. Damian Lillard plays negative 5 defense. They don't defend. They play Olay defense. They let their man get by him. Harden has Dwight.
Well, I was going to say, there's reasons
Harden
why.
has Dwight, and Lillard has LaMarcus and Robin Lopez. They just don't play defense. This is going to be a playoff series where we see 108, 110, 112,
a lot of missed steal opportunities and blocks back out from the
It's going to be up and down, and I don't trust Dwight Howard in an up and down playoff series with LaMarcus Aldridge on the floor.
All right.
I don't trust.
And you know what? I have an example to back up what he just said.
I don't see Dwight being able to play in the series.
This year in the regular season, the Houston Rockets became the first team ever in the history of the NBA to score more than, I think, 65 points in the first half and not break 100, right?
Because I think they put up like 23 in the second half.
In the second half. And do you know what Dwight Howard's total line for points was in that game where they broke an NBA record? 11.
Yeah.
11.
Yep. Yep.
Do you think Dwight Howard's the best center in basketball?
No.
Who's the best center in basketball?
Pure center?
Yeah.
Hibbert.
I would say that it's either Hibbert or when the Knicks are going well, Tyson Chandler.
I'll take Marcus all over anyone.
Okay, you know what? He's in the conversation. Marcus All is
probably the best defender.
Yeah.
He's the best passer.
I'm putting Cousins at 3.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
He's
Cousins
a top 3 center.
Yeah. I don't believe in Dwight Howard anymore. I don't.
Fair.
I've seen him enough to know that he's not Dwight Howard anymore.
And to your point on that, they didn't bring him to Houston to finish 4th. They brought him to Houston to win 60-plus games.
Very good point.
60-plus games like San Antonio just did and challenge for that number 1 spot.
Somehow Houston has this aura. Oh, my God, they have Harden and Dwight. No, they have Harden and this guy who wears Dwight Howard's jersey, who
hasn't been Dwight.
15 points, a couple of rebounds, and maybe one block.
Who hasn't been Dwight since he wore an Orlando jersey? Jeez.
I don't trust
Remember
Dwight.
when he played defense?
You mean Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago? 3 years or whatever it was?
You mean like there was discussion that he was actually somehow better than Bill Russell in defense?
Yeah.
I do remember those days.
When they were trying to like, can we call him the eraser now? Because, you can erase a lot of mistakes. No.
I think LaMarcus Aldridge and Robin Lopez are going to give Dwight Howard fits.
I believe it.
I believe that.
I don't see it yet.
I think Wes Matthews, a guy really no one outside of Portland knows about, is going to light James Harden up.
I think that if Portland gets if they don't do as well as they know they can, they're gonna get that forged by fire Portland Trailblazers team, and I think they're the team that I've been looking forward to for a bit of time. When they had their run with who's their old point guard that they
Damon Stoudemire?
No. Well, always
after that.
Yeah, I'm talking about 3-4 years ago. Who was their point guard? There was a changing of the guard.
Oh.
No,
it was, oh my gosh.
Bald? No.
Steve Blake.
No.
He was there.
He was there.
I don't know who you're thinking about.
I'm sorry. Anyway, we're going to have to move.
Rudy Fernandez?
No.
Rudy was there, I know that.
Who did the Blazers make the playoffs with a few years ago?
I don't remember.
All right. Point is, for a while I've been eyeing the Blazers as a franchise, and LaMarcus Aldridge, I think, I don't know, he reminds me of Chris Webber. He really does, and Chris Webber's knee injury, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
It changed him.
It's like if Garnett hadn't been able to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also because Weber's knee injury was, when I saw it. It was like, remember when we all saw Adrian Peterson's and we were like, that's that. No, he
went freak athlete and defied science.
Because he's a robot.
Yes, because he is a robot. Because he is
all
Purple
day.
Jesus. All day Purple Jesus, But the point is I once saw Weber drop 51 in person, and it might have been over 40 points in the paint. And
he was...
Remember, Shaq used to do that like night in and night out,
Yeah.
where it was like Shaq would have 25 points
When
in the
Shaq
paint.
had his MVP year.
Back when power forwards and centers controlled the game, because their goal was to control the 6 feet around the hoop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that... The Blazers are going to bring that back like an afro. Like, it's going to be the cool thing to do when no one else is realizing that it's never been uncool. I
never went out of style.
The Grizzlies
never
agree.
went out.
The Grizzlies agree with you.
I think that they're going to control that space, but I just don't...
And you're still picking Houston.
I'm still picking Houston because I don't think they're there yet. I think it's like picking a team without an offensive line. I don't think that they've got that... I don't think they know what a playoff game is going to be like. I don't think that they're ready for this. I think they're a little too... they kind of remind me, honestly, of the Thunder a few years back, where everyone was like, well, they could beat anybody.
Or they could just get swept in the first round.
Or like that, or they're gonna run into a well organized team.
It should also be said that there's Durant and there's Carmelo and then there's James Harden scoring wise.
Right.
He's the third best scorer in basketball.
Yeah.
I don't care about points per game. The way those guys score,
The way they get points.
James Harden's the third. And if LeBron ever wanted to be, it would be neck and neck with him and Durant. Like LeBron could do it, but he's just not that kind of scorer.
But
James Harden he proved this year
Yeah.
he's a bona fide NBA top scorer. Like I think he'll win a scoring title at some point in his career. Maybe next
That'd be
year.
cool.
And
That'd
it'll
be
be
really
him
cool.
versus Durant. It'll be
That would be kind of cool.
I would
so
like to see that.
that's the case for Houston. I get why you're picking Houston in that sense. I don't
think
Portland could not be ready.
I don't think either of them get past the second round. I don't.
Yeah, I agree. Well, because one of them has to play San Antonio.
Yeah, and let's talk about the Spurs.
Yeah.
Because
So the Spurs would get the either Blazers or Rockets
Blazers
in the
or Rockets.
second round.
If they got the Rockets, I'd be worried because I think James Harden could score a lot on the Spurs.
yeah.
And I think Dwight would actually show up for that.
I would
series.
actually going to say if Portland wins, I'd be more worried if I'm a Spurs fan because they have the quick guards that they're going to be unguardable by Tony Parker.
A young team's never going to beat the Spurs in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's got to happen once.
I don't know.
We've been saying that forever.
For 7 years, how many years have they been the old team?
Yeah,
That's true. I feel like
They've been the old guys for at least 7 years.
The only two quote-unquote young teams that I've ever really seen kind of beat the Spurs was a young Lakers team on their way to their three championships in the first time, and the back-to-back the next time, and the Heat. I mean, didn't the Thunder when they made it to the finals they got past Spurs?
I was just trying to think of that. I think
Right.
I think they beat the Spurs that year.
That's the only other team.
Because Durant was like 22.
Yeah, that's the only other young team I've seen get past the Spurs in their way.
It looks like a fluke when it happens, though. It's just like the Spurs don't go down easy.
Spurs aren't losing to either of the Rockets or Blazers.
Oh yeah, no, they're not. They're
so
not.
that's kind of.
I don't think so.
They're not.
Does Greg Popovich?
I'm just saying that
did he
it's
actually
worth a
win Coach
matchup.
of the Year yet?
Oh, he's winning this year.
Because
He's won at least one.
There's a lot of buzz about Jeff Hornacek, but Greg Popovich is winning.
He
Coach of the
won
Year.
that year the first title. I think he got Coach of the Year.
But the thing is he makes GM decisions.
Yeah, he runs the organization.
He runs.
He does, and you know what's scary about that? They have a really good GM.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's possibly a better GM than a coach, and when I look what he did with Kawhi Leonard,
because I was all about the Kings drafting Kawhi Leonard. I was all about
San Diego State.
I love Kawhi.
You know what?
All right,
though?
because when he came out of college, he was a good rebounder, a sound defender, mediocre on offense,
Raw athlete.
Raw
athlete.
Yeah, he was the epitome of the athlete.
He is now
one of the best 3-point shooters in the league.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. But he is now. I think if I had to pick anybody to guard LeBron on any given given day, I'd choose
he's the
Kawhi
best.
Leonard.
He's the best defensive skill set to guard.
To
LeBron.
handle. But you can't stop
He
LeBron.
can't.
You just slow him down.
I heard this. He's built to guard LeBron, not necessarily Kevin Durant.
No. Durant would destroy him, but I think that he's got the strength, the speed, the stamina, and the thing is that he gets open looks all the time, and that's because Greg Popovich is the best shooting coach
He knows how to
ever.
get him.
Ever.
He's also the best coach coming out of a timeout and.
It's
He's the best coach.
so ridiculous how good his players become.
It's the system. He just knows how to run that system. He knows how to plug pieces in. Tiago Splitter should not make as much money as he does.
But
Greg Popovich makes Tiago Splitter look like a really good NBA big man.
Remember when they almost got Jason Kidd and got rid of Tony Parker?
That really almost happened. Like, it was really close. That was
very close.
Yeah. All right, so we got Spurs in Western Conference Finals, Clippers, Thunder. You have Warriors, but so Thunder, Warriors, who would you take in that series?
I picked the Warriors on Tuesday.
Warriors.
You're going Warriors all the way.
I said Warriors in
All right.
7.
All right. Thunder, Clippers. Who do you have?
Thunder. I don't think the Clippers. I would see Golden State do it before the Clippers, but I don't think the Golden State's getting past the Clippers, so I don't think it matters.
That's kind of that was a Pandora's box kind of answer there. I can see the Warriors doing it, but not getting past the Clippers. So
Yeah, I could see the Clippers beating the Warriors, and I could see the Warriors beating the Thunder. Not even. I could see them having a better shot at beating the Thunder. But Kevin Durantula is
I just think at some point in this playoffs,
forged by fire.
I don't know. It's not that I doubt Kevin Durant at all.
Uh-huh.
It's that I don't think for consecutive series in a row, Russell Westbrook's going to stay within that.
I mean, Russell Westbrook is the most frustrating person in the NBA because he does legitimately take shots from the best shooter we've seen in 6 years. Like, so you take shots from Kevin Durant. You aren't allowed to. I don't get like that. Anybody who does that deserves to get backhanded.
Westbrook led the NBA in shot attempts last year.
Isn't that offensive?
That's a
Offensive.
shame.
That's offensive.
That's a damn shame.
But that's really the only reason I can see them winning in 7, is because I think the Thunder get by. Who are they going to face in the first round again?
Yeah, Memphis now.
I can see them getting, like I said, in 5 games or so. And Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant doing really well together, and then Westbrook thinking that means that he can shoot more.
That's why Scotty Brooks should not be the coach of the
Mhm.
You know what?
He doesn't have a backbone to tell Russell Westbrook, look, give him the ball. Give Durant the ball. You play off ball.
Yeah.
You get offensive rebounds. That's why Scotty Brooks shouldn't be the Thunder coach.
He shouldn't be fearing his
With-
job by
with all
yelling at
that being
Russell
said,
Westbrook.
I'm taking the Thunder over the Clippers.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Thunder. I'm taking Durant over the
So,
Clippers.
is our Eastern and Western Conference Finals going to be the same as it was last year?
Heat, Pacers, Spurs, Thunder.
That's what I've got.
And I have proof. I'll show this to the camera. I picked all 8 Western Conference playoff teams.
You did.
It's really tough to see, but not in the right order. But I picked all 8
you can
Western
post
Conference
that
teams.
online,
yeah, I'll put a picture on Facebook. But
There you go.
not in the right
He's got
order.
the Warriors exactly at 6, though.
I had
and
the Spurs
at 1.
at 1, Warriors 6, and Dallas. Well, Dallas is not the 8th.
And then he had Clippers and Thunder reversed, but that was really close to actually happening too.
And I had the Grizz at the 4 because I thought Marc Gasol would play all year, but he was hurt. Okay,
Right.
Spurs Thunder. Who wins?
Can you chime in with us
I was.
hypothetically on Spurs
Actually,
Thunder?
okay, Spurs Warriors. Who do you have
Right.
winning? Who do you have in the NBA Finals?
I have Indiana and Golden State in the finals.
Oh my God, you're really going Golden State all the way.
They-
That's
they-
like picking an 8 seed to make it to the national championship game. Oh wait, that happened.
That
this
just
year.
happened.
I was
It's
gonna
like
say-
picking a
hold on,
9th seed
hold on,
to go to the national championship.
I feel like what people forget about the Spurs run last year, because they lost so tragically in the finals. What people kind of forgot is they were legitimately a half gasp away from getting beat by the Warriors. The Warriors just couldn't handle the moment, and Spurs took it away from them.
Do you think that the Warriors are a better team this
Yeah, do
year
you
than they
think
were
mentally-
last year?
Mentally, they are.
Because they lost, or have you seen it?
Because they lost. I've watched as little Clipper games as I've seen.
Okay.
I've watched a lot of Warriors games because I work.
Yeah,
I
you
work
work
at
at
West
a
Office.
bar.
I work at the bar. That it's on everywhere. I'd say I've seen probably 20 or 30 Warriors games, and from what I can see, different from this year's team from last year's team is the fact that when it comes down to that crunch time, winning time, they get the look in their eyes now that they've been here before, and they know what to do. Now, early in the year when they were losing those crunch time games, they knew what to do. They just couldn't execute it.
I know.
But down the stretch,
I feel ya.
You know who else gets that look in their eyes like they've been there before?
the Spurs. I
The
understand.
Spurs invented that look.
Well, let's
50
maybe
years
not,
ago.
maybe not invented that look, but they've done a good job perfecting it. I agree, but in my scenario right now, the Warriors are in the Western Conference Finals, right?
You can talk me into the Warriors beating the Thunder. You can talk me into the Warriors beating the Clippers. You can't talk me into the Warriors beating the Spurs.
Absolutely.
All right.
You can't do it.
I say in 7. That's
Okay.
just
Okay. Spurs
All right.
Thunder. I know who I got.
See, I don't.
I don't. I this is the first time where it's like,
It's a
because
toss.
you know what it is.
It's a toss.
I'll tell you what my brain is saying. My brain is saying Thunder, but then my
your
brain
your
goes.
other brain goes.
My brain goes.
But it's the
Wait,
Spurs."
did you just not pick the Spurs?
But because you graduated from NBA school, you know, the Spurs are in the Western Conference Finals. Chances are they're probably going to make the finals.
Yeah.
You're going Spurs?
Thunder.
How many games?
It's got to go to 7. Either way, it's going to 7.
I picked Heat Spurs to begin the year.
Sticking
Sticking
with it.
I think Durant is going to put on a clinic on how to beat the Spurs. And I think Tony Parker is going to put on a clinic of saying, yeah, you can find a way to beat us, but we're still going to beat you. We are still going to find a way to win 4 games against you. Because it's what the Spurs do. I'm done doubting the Spurs. Look, I think this is their last run. And no, seriously.
Wait, speaking of things that we've all said before.
This is
No, I know it is time. This is it.
This is it. This is because this is the last year we're
This
going to
is
be
done,
able to
yeah.
say, oh, it's the Spurs. They're for sure there. Next year is going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle to
Now,
get
will
back
they do
to the
it?
Spurs.
Possibly.
Probably.
Hold on. I feel like before they won 62 games this year, before the season started, even though you had the Spurs, I remember us talking about this and going like, you know what? Even though they're number 1, it's going to be a hard-fought contest, and it's going to be right down to the end. And you know what? I know it says 4 games and 5 games, all that behind the Spurs, but I want to say about the All-Star break, I really wasn't worried the Spurs were not going to be the number 1 seed in the West.
No, me either. And I know it's said every year. I'm not one of those people. I've never said the Spurs are out.
Me neither, by the way.
I learned
I might
years
pick
ago.
against them in
I
the
learned
playoff
years ago.
series, but never count them out.
You don't count the Spurs out.
Ever.
Next
It was
year,
like the Detroit Red Wings of the 90s. Like, it's
Oh my god.
dude.
Yeah.
Red Wings, they have a chance. NHL playoffs started tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it, but I'm super stoked.
Don't turn us off. We're not talking about NHL. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, we're not. I think the Spurs next year is going to be a very difficult task, but I think this is it for them. And I think Tim Duncan is the
So
one.
they're only
that
winning
wins it.
58 games next year?
If you want to talk about how close the Warriors were to beating the Spurs last year,
Oh,
if
one
first off,
rebound away.
that's Game 6. Game 7, if Tim Duncan makes that little bunny layup,
Yeah. He's not in the pantheon with Patrick Ewing of missing that bunny.
He wins Finals MVP, and they shut down the Heat. All he has to do is make one bunny layup. That's how close they came. I said this in our NBA preview. There is no one more pissed off in the NBA right now
Than Tim Duncan.
than Tim Duncan.
I agree.
That's a beautiful
He does not show emotion.
I agree.
He never shows emotion. He slammed the floor after he missed that layup. In his post-game press conference, someone straight up asked him, Timmy, are you thinking about retiring? And he looked at him like he was going to kill him, and he said, I'm under contract. You'll see me next year.
Yeah.
There is no one more pissed off than Tim Duncan. Look, I get Durant's on a mission, and I get your pick that the Warriors Steph Curry could just go nuts and make the finals. There's no greater mission than what Tim Duncan is on right now. He wants another lick at the Heat.
Oh, you're doing such a good job of convincing me right
isn't
now.
it?
Tim
You're
Duncan.
doing such a good job.
Because we're
Chris.
remembering all the damn times we've seen the Spurs hold that trophy up.
Every time.
Yeah.
It's Timmy standing there like, hey, I got another one. I'm going to come back. I'll see you next year. I'll come back next year.
Now, I do believe that the Spurs have won a lot of their championships in weak years. I believe that because they just try the same
When they
thing
beat
over
the
and over
Pistons, it was like, okay, you just defaulted that far.
again. Yeah, right.
And
Or they won
wait,
a
hold on.
lockout year, too.
They didn't just beat the Pistons. They got a Robert Horry 3 because Rasheed Wallace, for some reason, is guarding the inbounder.
How many
Robert
rings does he have?
6?
7.
7?
He has one more than Jordan.
7.
Yeah.
Oh, Robert Horry.
Somehow.
But, okay, I know this is going to the past, but that shot against the Pistons, right? The Robert Horry shot. If you're Rasheed Wallace, you see the replay too, you can see. He leaves for the double team, and when the ball gets passed this way, the look on his face when he turns and realizes that Robert Horry is left open is like, holy God, why did I just, and Tayshaun Prince still almost got there.
Yeah. Because Tayshaun's 6'9".
And his arms are like 10 feet long.
It's a condor.
Pacers, Warriors, who wins? And how many
First time since 1976. Or is it 76?
I
Rick
think
Barry? First time since 76.
Oh my God, you're picking the Warriors to win it all.
In 6.
You think the Warriors could beat the Pacers?
I think if the Warriors make it to the finals, they can beat whoever comes out of the East.
All right.
Because if they make the finals, Klay Thompson is going to be on a run, but Stephen Curry is going to be on some sort of Dirk Nowitzki type of run.
You know,
he did in 07.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that I've been around the Aggie Talk community long enough to know that when the whole room gets together, someone gets it right. Someone gets it right. Like, whether it's MLB, like, I remember...
Giants sweeping the Tigers.
No, yeah.
Called that.
That was DK. DK was like, you know, if the Giants win this game, they're going to sweep the Tigers.
And the whole room said,
wait, and what? I was like, well, I think they're going to win. I don't know if they're going to sweep. I was like, 6.
And I even said, Prince Fielder, not going to have anything in the series.
Yeah,
Series.
If you've been around here, you know, someone's going to get it right. So I appreciate that your opinion is different, but I really think that the Golden State Warriors are going to get bounced in the first round.
Well,
I don't see them making a run without Andrew Bogut. I don't think they can sprint through the West.
But I respect it. I want to see it. I
would love to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see as much Stephen Curry in the playoffs as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think
I don't think it's gonna happen. You're going Warriors winner and all.
I think if Durant doesn't go to the NBA Finals this year, I think he's in contention for never winning a ring.
He's young enough. He's young enough. He'll have a shot.
They were all young enough.
When Durant goes to Houston and plays with James Harden, they'll have a chance.
That would be gorgeous.
Hey, calm down, Oklahoma City fans. That's not happening.
Westbrook and Durant are leaving you because you're cheap assholes. How do you not pay James Harden? Why are we not seeing James Harden, Serge Ibaka, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant on the same team? Why are we not seeing that?
Hey, if that happened, I would, hands down, I would pick the Thunder to go all the way. If Harden was back on,
I made the mistake of picking them.
Finals.
I picked them to win Western Conference the past 2 years.
Like, I would have loved to see the rematch from the Heat and the Thunder with an older trio.
I think everyone wants to see that. I think
that guy.
Everyone wants to see that matchup, and we'll never see it.
Here's the thing. I'll give my conclusion.
Spurs Heat. You got Spurs Heat, right?
No, I've got Spurs. No, the thing is I'm picking Thunder Pacers.
However, Spurs Indiana is still my dream NBA Finals.
The George Hill matchup.
Like, I just think that because that's boring basketball.
Small market team just doing fundamentals.
Well, it's also just I want to see some like rebounding and defense. That's stuff I like to watch.
Well, there was a chance we could have Indiana Memphis last year too, and people were like, "Oh my God, I'm not watching that finals." I would love to see that.
I would have loved to see that.
I got in a big fight with Greg Wong about it, actually.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
And I was saying, and he was like, of course we want to see the Heat go. It's like, no, I would love to watch the Pacers-Spurs.
Pacers-Spurs, yeah.
But, and so I want it to happen, and I think it could happen, but I can't. Nope. I'm picking Spurs. Spurs are going to beat the Thunder. You kind of sold it on to me,
So
Sean?
Pacers-Spurs?
Pacers-Spurs.
Okay.
All right, and you know why? Because I can't rule out the Spurs. No one's picked them every year, which means at some point we've turned our backs on the Spurs. Oh, every one of us.
So you're
every
saying...
one of us at some point has been like, they're not going to win, and then they won. At some point. All right, they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
All right, I'm a buyer. I'm a believer. Would that be number 5 for Duncan?
Yes, 6. It'd be 6, right?
No. It'd be 5.
It's 4.
No, he has
4.
No,
he already has 4 at least.
He has 4 for sure.
So it's for sure 5 then.
Okay.
It's not 6.
Yeah.
Because he was about to tie Kobe, right? If he won.
If he won last year.
Because as in all time, it goes Lakers, Celtics, Bulls, Spurs.
Yeah.
And it's because
and no one else matters.
No one else.
and then
no one else
after
matters.
That, it's like
Pistons
a couple of teams of 2.
Yeah. Do the Pistons have 3?
The Rockets 1, 2.
Pistons have 2.
They have back
Rockets
to back.
1, 2
Rockets have 2.
Yeah. So there you go.
Like that,
no one else matters.
Knicks.
It's like Game of Thrones. Like,
I don't watch Game of Thrones, so
never mind.
I wouldn't know what you're talking
Sean,
about.
you
It
don't
is
either?
kind of like the Game of Thrones.
Because basically in Game of Thrones, everything that happens unhappens.
And it's just families.
and if you throw 10 monkeys in a barrel and push it down a hill, the same monkey's going to get out first every time.
So you're saying
My family's Portuguese. That's how we put it.
The Spurs are that monkey.
They're that monkey.
Spurs Pacers. Who wins?
Spurs.
How many games?
6. Spurs and 6 of the Indiana Pacers. Who's got theirs?
Wow. I picked Heat Spurs at the beginning of this year.
Uh-huh.
I picked Heat Spurs at the beginning of last year. I picked the Heat.
Different home court advantage this time.
Yeah. You're nervous.
The Heat are beating the Spurs again.
You think they're gonna three-peat? No! We spent 20 minutes talking about how they weren't gonna three-peat. And you held your tongue patiently until this moment.
I'm going to shake your hand. That's pretty good.
LeBron is, without a doubt, the best player on the planet. And I think the only team that's gunning for him more than the Indiana Pacers are Greg Popovich's San Antonio Spurs.
Oh, yeah.
They are, believe me,
Yeah.
they are still fuming from that Game 7 loss. They don't. Game 6 was bad enough, but Game 7, when Duncan missed that bunny layup, they remember that moment.
So, you know how the Thunder almost lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since they won, I'm pretty sure the Clippers aren't starting, whoever they're not starting, because they're getting blown out by Portland right now.
Yeah, Matt Barnes is their leading scorer. LeBron three-peats. They all stick around.
Kings are beating the Suns.
LeBron, Bosh, and Wade
It's Fan Appreciation Night.
all stick around. They lose next year.
I was gonna say,
This year,
you sound like you're about to say they're gonna four-peat.
they're not four-peating.
No.
Heat three-peat against the Spurs, and Tim Duncan looks at LeBron and says, "This is your league. I'm out."
All right.
And he retires.
You think that LeBron James is going to knock Tim Duncan out of retirement? You think he's going to hit the cold ice like Brett Favre did? And just...
You made that sound very
Hold on. He brought up Brett Favre. The New York Giants ended Brett Favre's Green Bay Packer career. And it was awesome because they picked Brett Favre off in overtime. Lawrence Stein took the field goal, and then they beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
One of the best moments. Yes, LeBron is that good.
All right.
Dwayne Wade is healthy, and Chris Bosh is playing out of his mind. This is the best I've ever seen Chris Bosh play.
I agree.
And that's including the days when he carried that shitty Raptors team.
They were a horrible
to like
team.
a 5 seed or 4 seed or whatever.
To prominence in the NBA.
You know what he
This is
did?
the best I've ever seen Chris Bosh
He did
play.
to that Raptors team what Kevin Garnett did for the Timberwolves, basically. Just
I would have taken
pick
Garnett's
them off the
Timberwolves
What
over
a good power
over
forward
Chris
can
Bosh played
do.
with.
Which is why small forwards have got to go.
Yep. I'm going Heat over Spurs, and I will say... I'm going to lick my lips when I say this. 7 games.
I was like...
Because I want it. I want 7 games.
I
I want 7 more games of Heat Spurs. And we're going to get it, and the Heat are going to win.
Who would have thought that when LeBron hit his prime, his biggest opponent would be Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs? Remember,
I wouldn't
because
have thought
remember
it.
that
I
Tim
wouldn't have thought
Duncan
it.
won a ring before LeBron James entered the NBA.
You know,
And then 6 years later, LeBron James entered the NBA.
I was going to say, it's hard for me to imagine that. Oh, how things could have been different, because I'm pretty sure, the Spurs, they have a lot of, challengers in the West, but mostly it's just their conference to lose in the last, 6 years, whatever it was.
7.
7.
They made the
Yeah,
finals
7.
in 07. And won, beating LeBron's Cavaliers.
I just wish the Lakers weren't so dysfunctional in those 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, we can jump that. We're pretty much wrapping this up.
We just
But
got to
I
do
think-
awards, that's it.
All right. Well, I gotta say, when the Lakers three-peated that time, when the Lakers won 5 rings, I still think they could have won 8.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
They
If
should.
Shaq and Kobe would have stuck
if
around.
Shaq and Kobe
would
got
have stayed.
along.
They would.
That wasn't fair. The fact that the Kings were even able to compete is silly, because honestly, the Kings they were so talented at
the Kings were grabbing 1 rebound away from basically winning a championship against the Sixers. I mean, I'm convinced.
Well,
of that,
easy.
because
Well, I mean,
the winner.
I think
won
that they
would
were
be
actually a
Sixers.
lot closer, but that's because it was rigged. So,
Tim
He's
Donaghy.
never not gonna believe that.
Tim
So.
when you see it with your own eyes, some things you can't unsee,
Some
bros.
things you can't unsee, bro.
Hey, I can come up with at least 2 games in that series where the Kings won, where they had way more free throws than the Lakers, and it balances out. But it just happens it was game 2 and 3.
You're not going to win that
6 and
argument.
7. I know.
against a Kings fan.
I know. I'm not going to.
It
but
was so uneven, it wasn't even funny. We're not going there. Who's your MVP?
23 foul shots in one quarter.
It wasn't fair. Who's your MVP of the NBA?
And then the ref that did it later got caught as a cheater.
And you still could have won Game 7 had you made your free throws.
We've talked way too much Kings.
You know what?
We spent way too much
Who's my
time
MVP? Kevin Durant.
Who's yours?
Kevin Durant.
Mine's Kevin Durant, too.
Who's your coach of the year? Greg Popovich.
Greg Popovich.
It has to be Greg Popovich because he won 62 games. Like, I just...
Jeff Hornacek put on a show.
Yeah.
But he didn't... But he won
They made the
62
playoffs.
games.
And
If he
Greg
made the
Popovich
8th
is around.
seed,
I would have considered it, but Popovich is the coach of the
Yeah.
year.
Oh, yeah.
And Tom Thibodeau, he's getting into that Popovich range where you could vote for him every year.
Yeah.
Because without Derrick Rose, they're still...
The 4th seed. Like,
Yeah.
and
Like, Tibbs is... an
and
excellent
people are
coach.
scared to face him. You know,
Yeah,
so
they
it's
don't
like-
want to play him. Most improved.
Oh, wow.
Most improved. I picked Amir Johnson before the season, and I'm really pissed I picked Amir Johnson. But
All right. Who? I don't know. I don't know if I have one on. I don't have one lined up.
You know, even though I was kind of down on him when I was talking about the Dubs and the Clippers, I would say that Blake Griffin probably is the most improved in my mind in the league because, you know,
All right.
because he has developed other aspects of his game.
I think he's too high profile to win it.
Yeah, for
but
sure,
I
for sure.
do. I think that that's a good rational pick. As in, if we use our brains, not how the system works.
I think Blake Griffin's a great choice.
do you have one or you want me to give you mine?
I don't have one.
DeMar DeRozan.
There it is. I was
Wow.
I was
yeah,
looking
you know what?
around.
He's going to definitely win it.
I don't
will
think
win it.
I don't think he will. He's not getting that much buzz
Really?
for it. Gerald Green of the Suns is getting
Yeah.
a lot of
But
buzz.
DeRozan made an All-Star team.
Yeah.
DeRozan made the jump. I watched enough Raptors games this year.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry had some All-Star buzz. I don't think Kyle Lowry's that good, but DeMar DeRozan can legitimately take over games. He's gotten to the point where in the fourth quarter, if you throw him the ball, he'll make a move and he'll get an offensive, at least a foul. He'll get to the free throw line, make his free throws. I think DeMar DeRozan was my most improved.
That's a good answer.
Yeah,
I'll piggyback on that one. I
All
was looking around Toronto and I was looking around Portland.
Yeah, I got the
so-
wrong Raptor. I picked
Yeah.
Amir Johnson. It ended up being DeMar
You
DeRozan.
got the wrong Raptor.
Yeah.
You picked a Raptor to
I
win
picked a
anything,
Raptor to
which
win
is
it,
pretty good.
which was a shame. But rookie of the year.
Man.
I'll give you my answer.
Go ahead.
There shouldn't be a rookie of the year. This rookie class is the worst we've seen in like 15 years. If the award goes to Michael Carter Williams, it should not. They lost 26 straight games. There should not be a rookie of the year. And it's a shame somebody's going to win it.
I'm with it. No, honestly, because I was like, what I was going to say is,
There was no rookie
no
that
one
stood
really
out of my
deserves
mind.
it.
And when you said you would give you mine first, I was like, oh, cool. You know what? I'm going to just kind of jump off of what he says, the name.
I was gonna
Shouldn't be a
say
rookie of the
I
year.
don't really have one because you sold it on me, but I was like, I don't really have a pick because I don't think it.
Yeah.
There's no
But
pick.
as soon as you went onto your rant, I was like, no, that's why I
That's
can't
okay.
think of one.
no rookie of the year, unanimous decision.
Yeah.
None.
Unanimous.
Nobody
much.
deserves it. And
And
if you do win it, donate it back.
If Michael Carter Williams wins it, it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's an absolute shame because
What do we got left?
there's no rookie of the year. I think that's it. I want to say I had the first coach fired on my list because I did that. It was Randy Whitman of the Wizards, and he now looks like a genius because he brought the Wizards to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I thought the Wizards would make the playoffs, but I thought they'd fire Randy Whitman. So
And that's
I was
why
wrong about
that's
that.
why they would make it.
And,
I remember that discussion.
Yeah.
They're going to be at a point of season where he gets fired, and that motivates the players
Yep.
to make the run.
And John
Yeah,
Wall's
that's
gonna
exactly
be
what
like,
he
I
said.
want to make the playoffs, but
Fire somebody, man. You know, the rest of people work pretty hard.
yeah.
That stuff works.
Yeah, it works. I also picked All Stars before the season. I didn't do it, and I got a lot of them right, but I got a couple of them wrong. Because I put Greg Monroe on my All Star team because I thought Detroit would be better.
Uh-huh.
I had Detroit as the 8 seed
Yeah,
before the year. I thought they'd make a jump, but
you had them winning, you know,
But
a good amount of
they fired their
games.
coach. That would be my big. I think they're the biggest disappointment of the year.
Yep.
And,
well, hold on. I forgot to mention the New Orleans Pelicans were a huge disappointment for this year.
Oh, I don't think that. I never expected anything from them. So
I expected
when I saw them trade for
expected too much.
Tyreek, I was like, okay, they got a black hole.
I expected too much from the Pelicans this year, but next year I think they could do really well. But
Agreed.
I think the Knicks.
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
what a shame.
Yeah, I mean,
What a
to
shame.
me, the Knicks
one
are the
is-
most
I
disappointing.
already called them the biggest disappointment, but I was more thinking of just the Pistons firing
Mo
their-
Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks.
Yep.
I think that as an individual action, not as a franchise, is the most disappointing
It was
thing.
a shame. It was an absolute shame.
Where's he gonna go?
I think he could assistant coach somewhere again. he would be welcomed on an NBA bench. Maybe he could be the next Warriors coach.
There it is. There's my
After
prediction.
Mark Jackson retires after winning a championship.
He ain't retiring.
He ain't retiring.
He gave him booted.
He's gonna run him into the ground.
He gave him booted.
No, Mark Jackson is gonna get replaced by Mo Cheeks, and write it down on your little highlighter paper.
That could be cool.
Oh.
That could be cool.
That
Mo
could
Cheeks
be cool,
is gonna
actually.
go to the Warriors.
All right, so what's your NBA final? Say it one more time.
Warriors and the Pacers. I picked the Warriors 1 in 7.
I'm picking the San Antonio Spurs beating the Indiana Pacers in 6.
Look how despondent you look as you pick that too. You're like
6. It's
And
gonna happen.
I've got the Miami Heat beating the Spurs in a rematch last year in 7 games.
And good night to those of you who just fast forwarded to the picks.
Yep.
All right, well, that is the end of our NBA playoff preview in the basement with Sean and the Heckler.
That was almost a 3-hour
That was almost a 3-hour podcast. It's our longest podcast to date.
We give you a lot of information.
It beats out the baseball podcast, which is a little over 2 hours.
Well, that's because we had Greg Cotta here and not Greg Wong.
That's true.
That's a winner every time. Come on. I'll take that 11 times out of 10.
And then twice on Sunday. I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
Not on Sunday.
thank you for listening
Nothing
to our
after this.
podcast and watching the YouTube. We'll probably be back next Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Next Monday at a normal
We'll
time.
have playoff stuff to talk about.
Normal hour or so podcast
And
here
we're
in the
talking
basement.
hockey playoffs next week.
I guess we're talking hockey playoffs
The
next
Sharks
week.
have a chance.
That you know what? They have an intriguing matchup against
They
the
do.
Kings.
They do.
Anyway, so thanks for joining us. For Greg Cotta,
Thank you,
Sean
guys. This was a
Steimel,
pleasure.
my PIC over here, the criminal as he likes to call himself.
Partner in crime is what he calls me. I'm the criminal.
The pick.
Don't I look like I have a band?
I am David DK Kim. You can call me the Heckler, I guess. Bidding you adieu. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Will you hit stop on that?